Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday's edition of the Regional News. A close relative of slain businesswoman Sabrina Thomas was yesterday morning detained by police in connection with her killing. The man was detained around 7 a.m. at his residence by officers of the Southern Police Division. He was expected to be questioned by detectives of the Homicide Bureau of Investigations. Thomas, a mother of three, was ambushed by a gunman and killed on February 13 at her in-laws' house in Fanny Village, Point 14. She was standing near a gate at the side of the house around 8 a.m. when the shooter approached and fired multiple rounds at close range. Our in-laws and residents heard the gunshots. Thomas was struck in the head and neck. She slumped against a wall in the sitting position on the ground and died of her injuries moments after the ambush. Minutes earlier, Thomas had dropped two of her children off to their school. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has launched the city's first asylum seekers arrival center, as hundreds of Caribbean and other asylum seekers continue to arrive there daily. Adams also announced the placement of what will be the city's 9th humanitarian emergency response and relief center. Officials say many of the asylum seekers come from Cuba, Haiti, and Venezuela. And Adams said the Roosevelt Hotel, which has been closed for nearly 3 years, will host the arrival center and deliver on a key commitment to provide a centralized intake center for all arriving asylum seekers and providing migrants with access to a range of legal, medical, and reconnection services. The Roosevelt Hotel will open up to 175 rooms for children and families until it is scaled to about 850 rooms. An additional 100 to 150 rooms will be held for asylum seekers in transition to other locations. With the number of asylum seekers arriving in New York City expected to rapidly accelerate, as Title 42 is now being lifted, Adams also renewed calls for the state and federal government for additional support as the city faces this crisis. Ecuador's President Guillermo Lasso dissolved the National Assembly in a decree, bringing forward legislative and presidential elections, a day after he presented in his defense in an impeachment process against him. Lasso denies the accusations, saying his administration made changes to the contract signed years before he took office in order to benefit the state. A majority of lawmakers backed a resolution saying Lasso allowed the corrupt contract to continue, even though Congressional Oversight Committee, which heard testimony from opposition lawmakers, officials, and Lasso's lawyers, said in its report it did not recommend impeachment. 92 votes from 173-member legislature would have been needed to remove Lasso from office. The vote to continue the process received 88. The country's constitution enclosed the so-called two-way debt, allowing Lasso to call elections for both his post and the assembly under certain circumstances, including if actions for the legislature are blocking and functioning of the government. Lasso invoked the two-way debt, citing Ecuador's grave political crisis. Lasso will now remain in office for up to 6 months, ruling by decree, while National Electoral Authority set the date for the elections. Ecuador's electoral court must decide on a date for new elections within 7 days of the assembly's dissolution. Thank you for watching. I'm TIANA.